RHS schools, Rocky Mountain, other things. This is Ridgeline. So Cache Valley versus Star Valley. Again, we should be just minutes away from start time. We've had the girls out warming up, getting ready for the live action. We'll keep you posted on each wrestler who's competing. And we also have J.R. Burgess, who will be in charge of the camera and zooming, and I'll be commentating today. This is Blake Angel. Again, we're live in Logan, Utah, at Ridgeline High School. For those with us in Star Valley and Cache Valley, we'll try to be as accurate as we can with the names and the competitors filling each weight class. Although be patient, there's sometimes some last-minute adjustments which require some last-minute changes, both on the weights and the lineup. So, but the way it has it now is competing at the 100-pound weight class. We'll have Sydney Walton from Ridgeline, and she will be against Sage Smith of Star Valley. So Smith and Walton at 100 pounds. At 105 pounds, we have Taylor Leishman of Ridgeline versus Carly Angel of Star Valley. Again, that's 105, Angel of Star Valley. We'll pause momentarily. We'll probably have a national anthem here.
Mat 1 is the mat closest to the flag. So as I call matches, Mat 1 is the closest to the flag. And Mat 1 score will be at the table. Mat 2 score will be on the scoreboard. So we're going to go ahead and get started with on Mat 1 at 1:30, wrestling for Star Valley, and that's Angel for Ridgeline. On deck on Mat 1, Sophie Caldwell with Schwab. Up first on Mat 2, for Star Valley, the right of Nina, for Ridgeline with Nina. On deck on Mat 2,
Okay, back on the air. We're trying to make sure we interpreted that right, but it sounds like Alexis Angel will be going first on mat number 1. Alexis Angel, she competes at the 120-pound weight class at this duel. We have quite a few sister duos competing today. We've got the Smiths, the Angels, the Allreds, the Hepworths. So it's always neat to see a couple members of the same family out competing, practicing together, and know a little bit about the sacrifice, sharing in the pain and the glory. So it's been confirmed. It looks like on mat number 1, we have Alexis Angel, and she's checking at the table right now. Once again, Alexis will be wrestling at the 120-pound weight class. Whether or not that's going to be a permanent fixture is yet to be determined. She weighs closer to 115, but there are so many competitive, good wrestlers at all those weights that they're having to scatter and spread out a little bit just to ensure that we get the most wrestling time for each athlete, also to ensure the best showing at both regionals and state. Now, I haven't heard who the opponent is from Ridgeline, but it does look like she's also checking into the table. Okay, both wrestlers have lined up. They're putting on their ankle bands. Alexis will be red, Ridgeline will be green. All right, live action has started. Nice sweep single from Alexis. She takes that, blocks it back to a double leg dump to gain the 2-point advantage. Bottom wrestler does a great job of coming back to her feet, fighting for top position. She's got looks like a switch going on. Alexis did a fantastic job blocking that and returning her back. Okay, Alexis has a half Nelson. She's a little bit high, and the bottom wrestler knows that. She took advantage of that, came back to her feet. Alexis now working for a swift return. Ridgeline exceptional at fighting the hands and does indeed get the point for one escape. Both wrestlers working the head and the arm. Collar ties. Alexis is trying to break that off. She doesn't want to be there. Ridgeline comes in pretty aggressive, standing a little straight up, but very aggressive. Alexis kind of takes a half shot there, comes back to neutral. Ridgeline does a fantastic job fighting hands. Alexis tries to sweep, and she does. Gets past the hands in fairly deep on a shot. She's wrapped that near leg, and now is fighting to get her hand and her head out to get that 2-point advantage.
And Blake over on the left-hand side. We've also got Eliza England wrestling on the JV mat as well. So we've zoomed out a little bit to try and get both mats here. We've got both the action.
Super. Appreciate that, JR. It's always a challenge trying to pick up 2 different matches with one camera, but we have JR manning that. He's going to try to show a little bit of both. And looks like Star Valley on the other mat. It's a nice escape. Alexis on back to mat 1 also is in a pinning combination. She's inbounds, her opponent's out of bounds, and the time runs out. Back on mat number 2, that is, I believe that's Sage Smith. Is that right, JR? Sage Smith in deep.
I was under the understanding that it was Eliza England. I could be wrong with that.
Nope, at this distance,
that's what I was told.
I'm going to take what you've heard. Eliza was doing a great job, had the leg. Ridgeline did a good job of sprawling, fairly heavy on the hips. She was able to maintain control to get that 2-point takedown. And she's now working an arm bar. The bar is in. And Star Valley on her back. The count is, I believe she at least secured 2. We'll take a pause there as they decide which wrestler takes choice. Back on mat number 1, the score appears to be 7-1 in the favor of Star Valley, Alexis Angel. She looks to her coach on determining which position to take. While they're waiting here, it looks like back on mat number 2, Star Valley's in fairly deep. She's got her head to the, she can still catch that leg, turn in. Ridgeline is doing a good job of, oh, there we go. We get the takedown for 2 points. That puts the score now 7-5. I believe we trail by 2. Or are we ahead by 2? We got a cradle. Oh, she's got it nearly locked up. Good cross-face cradle. Ridgeline is almost in the ball position, which puts Star Valley in the best position to score and lock it up. Ridgeline predicts it coming, though, and fights hands. Does a great job of getting away from that lock. Oh. Looks like all right, Eliza's in a little bit of a predicament. She's fought well. She did get rolled over in a half Nelson. She's got to fight. Does have some time on the clock, about 30 seconds, and she can keep one shoulder up, keep fighting, keep turning towards the stands or us, thread the arm. Oh, and she does give that one up by fall. Back on mat number 1, Alexis has maintained the lead at 8-1. Seems to be in complete control of the mat, but the Ridgeline girl seems to be very risky. Just she's reaching for the head and trying some fancy stuff. Oh, Alexis does slip in the arm bar. Takes near chicken wing, runs it fairly smooth, and Ridgeline is on her point. Predicament points have been counted, but she comes right back up. It's one thing, these girls are so flexible. And Alexis does a good job of finishing up, and there is a pin from Star Valley. Alexis Angel, great job. In the hole is Hallie Robertson coming up, and I'm going to find out who is wrestling now. Let's see if they've texted me the name of her. All right, back on mat number 2. While we're waiting to get confirmation of the athletes, it looks like Star Valley and Ridgeline both in neutral position. It's Cody Johnson on mat 2. Perfect job doing a roll through on the Cowboy or on the headlock. She maintains control to gain the 2-point advantage. Again, this is Cody Johnson on mat number 2. And she takes the lead at 2-0 going into the first. She's maintaining good heavy pressure on the top. She's got Ridgeline flat on her back. She secures a half Nelson, got the arm up. Oh, Ridgeline's flexible though, so she's going to drop her shoulders, change levels slightly, just ever so slightly, and Ridgeline does start to go over. The count is on. We are getting back points, and I believe there was enough for 2. Let's see what the ref flags. He's going to hold that flag, and there we go. We had 2 predicament points. Cody Johnson, great job. Lots of pressure and lots of weight. She's going to the other side. She's going to do it again, it looks like. Nice and slow. Oh, this is going to be tight. This will be a miracle if Ridgeline gets out of this. But we've seen lots of miracles before. And there we have the fall. Cody Johnson wins by fall. All right, up next on mat number 2, we've got Lillian Anderson of Star Valley, and she'll be wrestling a Ridgeline opponent. If we get her name, I'll broadcast that. But again, that's Miss Anderson coming up on mat 2. All right, over back on mat number 1, we also have, I'm going to make sure this might be, Brooke Schwab is on mat number 1. With live action, great sprawl. She does an excellent job blocking the hips. Tries to go for a spin around, but Ridgeline is holding on for dear life, rearing back into her, trying to get something to stop Brooke from getting the takedown, although I think Brooke's pretty savvy in that condition. She's been doing a little extra practice, and she's calm, nice and collected. She works some technique there. She does secure the 2 points. So Brooke Schwab takes the lead at 2-0. Immediately transitions right to cross face and then a barbed wire, or if you call it the screwdriver. Does a good job knowing where her real estate is at, pulls her back in, and chain wrestles to a near side cradle, puts her right back into bounds. And here again, we see that flexibility of these great female athletes. Ridgeline was able to somewhat crawl out of that cradle. Brooke says, that's all right, I'm going to try it again. Here we go. She is fairly close to the edge of the line, but she's got it locked up, and it's tight, and it looks like it's going to be a fall on the edge, and it is. Nice job, Brooke Schwab. Takes a win by fall.
Back over to the other mat here, we've got Lillian Anderson.
Lillian Anderson, had some great control, but Ridgeline was able to just kind of plow in and use her momentum. They are near out of bounds. However, the new rules allow that if the attacking wrestler does secure the takedown, and as long as their toes are in bounds, they can still get the pin. So even though Lillian was completely out of bounds, Ridgeline was in. She did circle out, and the ref did call it out of bounds. But that's one of the recent adjustments in the world's oldest sport of wrestling as far as scoring. You can pin an opponent if they are out of bounds. All right. Top opponent Ridgeline seeks in a half. Oh, an excellent job by Lillian. She was able to turn into that, keep her elbows down, and gain the reversal for 2 points. Ridgeline's going to come right back with an escape of her own, but turns it also into a reversal. I don't know if the ref awarded either of those. Now we're back on our feet, both in the neutral position.
Sorry, you're good now. It was just a little high. This is Kaya.
Okay, over here on mat number 2, we've got Kaya Allred wrestling from Star Valley against her Ridgeline opponent. Both wrestlers filling each other out a little bit. Kaya's another one of those sister duos. Her and her sister Malia are both on the team. And Ridgeline does kind of a climb behind, turns into a look away, and does secure the takedown, 2-0. And she's trying to work back to base. Ridgeline does get a pretty good, very nice shot. Rolled all the way through. Coach saying, we've got to come up, because this girl's pretty handy in the top position when you're down on your belly. Kaya's trying to do that, but she does have one arm. Oh, she switched sides to the other half. And Kaya goes back. Great bridge, powerful bridge. Boy, she is very handy with that bridge. She comes out not only off her back, but to her feet. She's nearly got Ridgeline in a predicament, and she does. She takes it down. Oh, but her hips did come down a little too far. Ridgeline took advantage of that, was able to put her back on her back. Let's see. Oh, she does it again. Great bridge. Tell you what, she's extremely hard to tough, old Kaya, because that was two tough, tight pinning combinations in a row, and she was able to fight off her back, come back to some more wrestling time. And both wrestlers go out of bounds. We're going back to the center. Again, this is Kaya Allred, Star Valley.
We're going to swing back to the other mat for just 1 second, then we'll come back to the other mat for an update.
You bet. I can't quite see the score on this one, JR. I'm not sure if you can see over the table there. See.
Unfortunately, I cannot, but I will try and get that for you here shortly.
Okay, we'll see if someone else can round us up the score, but I know they've been pretty tight, pretty back to back.
So it looks like the score is 10-1 on this match.
10-1. Okay, well.
I believe Star Valley's down on that one.
All right. I think there's a few points that we didn't quite see awarded. Miss Allred fights extremely hard off her back several times. She does give that one up by fall to Ridgeline. A great job from one of our new athletes. She's just done a tremendous job of hanging in there, fighting, and you can see she could really bridge. Lillian still competing. Again, I don't know if a lot of those points were awarded. I at least saw an escape and reversal, but we kind of got to take it for what it is. It shows the score 10-2, and we have, so close. She had a great shot there, changed levels. And we do get the 2 points right on the whistle. Looks like it's Star Valley's choice. We're now down by 6. We've narrowed that a little bit, so the score is 10-4.
Okay, let's jump back here over to the other mat.
I believe this is Addie Misner, if I'm not mistaken, and Addie is wrestling at weight. We'll find out. I believe I don't have the paperwork for the JV, so I'm trying to do my best with the announcing it. Okay, Addie on the down position, Ridgeline trying to work something on the top. Back on the other mat, we've got narrowed the gap even more. It's now a score of 10-5. And realistically, it still could be anyone's match. Ridgeline does seem to be gassing a little bit. Star Valley seems to be doing okay. There's kind of a half-hearted throw by Ridgeline. Star Valley's going to take advantage of it, and they are going to say out of bounds. We just needed 6 more inches there for not only takedown, but even possible back points from Lillian. Back to on mat number gets half back down. Good head pressure. She's trying to get that half in one more time. Mat number 2. Addie left. tank and throw that secret weapon. Nothing to lose, down by 5 with a tired opponent. And she does. Oh, it was close. Should have been a slip if it was, and she does a great job. Fight hands, comes back to neutral. She's going to try that one more time. And, just too much fatigue there, but an excellent effort. And again, that's the time you've got to go for broke. You've got to try something. You have nothing to lose. And here again, there's no losers in wrestling either way. There's winners and learners. Great job, Lillian. Great fight. Back over here on mat number 2. I believe the score now is 2-3, so it's a 1-point match. Great job. She doesn't stand up, turns and faces her. Tries to get that leg back, break that lock from Ridgeline's grasp. She's stuffing the head, and she's got it. She's spinning around behind to maintain control to get the 2-point reversal. Now we lead this match 5-2. 5-2 in Star Valley's favor. And we got a cradle on, near side cradle. We're getting back swipes. The lead's going to increase drastically here. Ridgeline's bridging off her neck and turning into her. It looks a little risky, but I think that Star Valley's got the hold. Oh, she's got to scramble now. We've got to get in a scramble position. We did get the 3 points, but it came with a slight sacrifice as Ridgeline takes a 2-point reversal. Now we've got to be careful not to get in the same predicament.
Looks like after that sequence, the score is 4-8 on that mat.
4-8. Star Valley leads. And again, this should be Addie still. Boy, it's always tough when they go around the throat without an arm like that, but it is a legal move. It's a reverse half. And reverse half, you don't have to have the arm. Ridgeline did get some swipes. She was awarded a 2-point predicament. Brings the match within 2 points.
All right, looks like over on the other mat here, we've got Eliza England again, from what I understand.
Really? Eliza already back. She's probably fighting a little fatigue, but she is, speaking of fighting, she's fighting off her back right now. Doing a good job of switching her hips back and forth. And she backs to the base position, belly position. She's going to work for her base, so great job, Eliza. Those are really tough to keep from getting rolled. And she's not giving up easy, though. Despite giving up a little breath. She's a fighter. She's still fighting. Ridgeline does a great job making a real broad stance and does secure the pin. Back on mat number 2, we've got Addie, still leads by 2. Bottom wrestler from Ridgeline has had some great comebacks, but again, she also shows a little bit of signs of, hey, this is 3rd round and I'm tired. Addie does a great job, goes one underneath and cradle all day long. She says, thank you, I'll take that. Rocks her back to get some more swipes, and the ref is saying not quite yet. Ref opposed that one, saying the angle was not broken enough to get the predicament point. So Addie's back to fighting. Bottom wrestler not able to get to her base. Addie does a great job keeping her down. She's working heavy on the hands, heavy on the arms, and we're going to try this again. Over she goes. Ref's a swiping now. And I believe we at least got 2 swipes, 2 count there. Ridgeline was able to bounce back, get on her belly, which is a good thing for Ridgeline. We did. We got 2 points, so the lead now increases by 4, 10-6 in favor of Addie. Addie sinks another half on, and this will be a separate move, so she can ultimately get more points because she broke the last pinning combination.
We're going to swing over here so we can get both. We've got Hallie Robinson from Star Valley on the left-hand side here.
All right, Hallie. Oh, beautiful takedown. Double leg. Lots of elevation for Hallie. Hallie's one of our experienced wrestlers, was able to start a little earlier than most of our athletes, and it shows. And she shows some dominating fashion tonight against Ridgeline. Just one move after another. Change that cross face right to a barbed wire. Ridgeline didn't go, so she flares the ankle, secures that, and it's tight. There we go. Fall for Hallie Robertson. Great job, Hallie.
Yeah, 2 great wins for Star Valley.
You bet. Also on the other mat, Addie did secure the point decision. I looked away.
With 6 to 10.
6 to 10.
Minor decision.
Addie takes that one. So double wins, double both mats. Now, just while we're waiting, if you're wondering why we started sort of in the middle, sometimes the end match is sometimes determined by the heavyweight. And years ago, the schools got together, or actually the sanctions got together and said, you know, let's vary it up. Let's not start with the lightest and end with the heavyweights. Let's draw out of a hat and decide which weights we're going to start with. And sometimes you do end up starting at the beginning, sometimes right in the middle. So today we started, I believe, closer to right at 120. So we'll circle clear back around and pick up the 105, 110, 115s towards the end of the duel. Looks like we've got Alexis Angel coming back for her second bout of the evening on mat 1. Kara Andrews will be on mat 2. Two great wrestlers, and again, both have sisters on the team. Alexis starts with heavy hands, does a good job at snapping down front headlock position. See what she does next. She looks like she's trying to go the cow catcher / co-lot, and it's going to work. Over the fall she goes. Got the 2-point takedown, working for a near fall. Ridgeline doing a great job blocking the hips and trying to keep that pressure off her shoulder blades. Alexis looks at the end. Alexis does a fantastic job, takes Ridgeline by fall. First round pin. I didn't get the time there, but I believe it was definitely the first round. Great job. Back over mat 2. Looks like Miss Andrews is waiting for her opponent to show up. Her opponent looked and said, you know what? That girl from Star Valley looks tough. I think I'll just go back behind the bleachers and take a nap. Nope, somebody must have went and woke her up, because I believe I see a Ridgeline wrestler checking at the table now. So once again, we've got Kara Andrews on mat 2. Mat number 1, still waiting to hear who the competitor is going to be. It looks like Ridgeline is waiting. I guess while both mats are waiting for their opponent, they could wrestle each other, couldn't they, JR? Just
Well, it looks to me like they actually are pulling Star Valley wrestler from the one mat over to the other mat is what it looks like to me.
Okay. Well, maybe there's some.
So they were both waiting on each other on different mats.
Well, I was half joking, but maybe they're going to take it serious and say, let's keep this show going. So for those listening that are still trying to follow the rules and the regulations of wrestling, sometimes we see a hold that looks awful painful, and we might question, is that legal? And truthfully, there's probably a lot more that's legal than is not legal. Of course, there's things that are potentially dangerous, whether they're legal or not. Certain limbs get twisted in certain directions. The ref has the obligation to care for the safety of the athletes, and he will stop anything that he calls potentially dangerous without penalty to either wrestler. However, an illegal hold would be, for example, one of the opponents taking both hands without an arm in between or without a collar tie. That's where one hand is near their shoulder, the other one's around their head for a tie-up. If they take both hands and just try to slam their face down to the mat, that's an illegal move. And that will result in a 1-point penalty going to the other wrestler. While on that, also on those same lines, should a wrestler try to throw in a cowboy or a headlock without an arm in between their head and the attacker's wrestler's arm, that is a penalty point. So, you see a street fight and headlock, they'll just go and grab a head and rip on and throw someone down to the ground. Well, in wrestling, that's illegal. You do have to have one arm in between the head and the attacking wrestler's arm. And here again, you're still responsible for their safe return. So should you throw a headlock, even if you have the arm, they hit too hard and you don't kind of carefully bring them back to the mat, the ref will stop that and say, well, the move was legal, but the action was illegal. That will also result in a 1-point penalty. Okay, back in action. Hallie Robertson, I believe, just went. She says, I didn't get a workout. Let's try this again. So she's wrestled her second match in less than 5 minutes. Smooth takedown, going for double leg. She hip heists right around, climbs the waist as Ridgeline goes down. Hallie secures a 2-point takedown. Now she's working steady on the arm. Great forward pressure. I call that the motorcycle grip, where you kind of rip it back and push their hips forward. She goes into what's called a hammerlock position. She's got one arm behind her back. So long as that's a 90, the ref won't get too excited. And she gives up that hammerlock to try to work front headlock series. We'll see what she can do. This is set up for about 5 different moves. Depending on the opponent's resistance or lack of will determine how Hallie reacts. Hallie says, you know what? It was so fun taking you down. Let's just do that again. So both wrestlers back on their feet. It's 2-1 in favor of Hallie Robertson. Nice. Another great elevated double leg. And this time, Ridgeline goes right to her back, and Hallie is in total control. This looks tight. This will be very hard to, and she does secure the pin. Great job, Hallie. Powerful double legs, excellent setups, and finishes that match with a pin.
So it looks like they put away one mat here, and we're going to go down to just one mat instead of having 2. I'm assuming they're going to continue on this other mat and not move it, but we'll just have to see how they proceed with that.
Well, that'll make our job a little easier.
Much easier.
Okay, right back into action. Star Valley up again, and this is this Miss Andrews now again?
It looks like it. Let me see if I can confirm.
Oh, excellent. Duck down to a double leg, sinks the half in for some great chain wrestling, and Ridgeline finds herself on her back within less than 3 seconds.
This is indeed Kara Andrews.
And Miss Andrews doing a great job. Oh, wow. I'll tell you what, if there's a fastest pin for the evening, she may have it.
That's a quick fall.
I hardly had time to make sure that's who was on the mat, and the fall was secured. And, boy, sorry, I missed the great setup. Now, I'm not sure why they're, I guess, COVID-19 restrictions. If you see, the wrestlers aren't really shaking hands with the ref, and the ref isn't grabbing the wrestlers' hands. There must be something going on with the bug.
I always thought that was odd. One of the regulations they put in place that the wrestlers don't shake hands before or after the match because they're wrestling with each other, and I don't really understand that regulation. I think that's
well,
not really accomplishing what they're going for.
You know, my brother told me that. He was helping coach, and I said, "You're joking." I said, "That's impossible." And he says, "No, I'm telling you right now, you can't shake hands, but you can wrestle." And that was just coming out of the big pandemic. And again, I thought he was completely being sarcastic, just showing how silly some of the things were going around us. But sure enough, wrestling started, and wrestlers could not shake hands. But boy, they can grab 5-on-1 or 1-on-5.
Sweat all over each other.
Yeah. So
looks like they are going to move this main mat into the middle here, and we're going to go a little bit of a dual style.
Perfect. I wonder if that has somewhat to do with the light. They'll probably center up the mat with the show light that's right above on the ceiling.
Boy, I sure do like it when they do the show light, especially in Star Valley. You can see them drop that light down, and they dim the lights in the rest of the arena and, make it a real battleground. It's kind of cool.
Adds a little adrenaline to it, doesn't it? We're not saying that's what they're going to do, but it sure seems looks like that light is on a winch, too. They can lower that right down on the mat, turn some lights off. Of course, it gets too dark. I won't be able to see. All right, while we're waiting, let me read the lineup where we left off. Again, at the lightweights, we started out the 100 pounds. This is the varsity. Sage Smith will be representing Star Valley at the 100-pound weight class. She'll be wrestling Sydney Walton of Ridgeline. Moving to 105, Carly Angel will fill that position. Her opponent from Ridgeline is Taylor Leishman. 110 pounds from Star Valley is Kenna Merritt, and her opponent from Ridgeline is Cameron Larson. Moving to the 115-pound weight class, that'll be represented by Paisley Smith. Her opponent, Keegan Grange. And then at 120, we've got Kinley Seal of Ridgeline versus Kesson Johnson of Star Valley. So Johnson and Seal will fill that 120-pound category. 125 pounds, we have Malia Allred of Star Valley. She's maintained that position for a couple of years now. She'll be up against Taylor Warren of Ridgeline. At 130, we have Samantha Walker, one of our veteran wrestlers again. She'll be wrestling from Ridgeline. Cadence Green. If I got that name wrong, I apologize. Moving to 135 pounds, we have Remington Allman of Star Valley, and she will be wrestling Courtney Salin. That could be Selin or Sealan. Take your pick there. I apologize. Again, that's 135. Moving to 140 pounds from Star Valley, we've got another one of the sister duos, Oakland Hepworth. She'll be against Taya Crookson. And then at 145, we have Sedley Roberts of Star Valley, and she'll be competing against Brianne Lundahl. So Lundahl Roberts. Moving to 155, we have none other than the famous returning state champion, undefeated wrestler for 2 years, Belle Foreman. Belle Foreman will be wrestling Emily Welker of Ridgeline. 170 pounds will be represented from Star Valley by Shaylee Coots. Her opponent from Ridgeline, Mariah Radmel. Might be Radmal. At 190 pounds from Star Valley, Stella Lynn. And her opponent from Ridgeline is Cameron Obrey. Moving to the 225-pound weight class, represented by our other Hepworth sibling or sister, Cashley Hepworth. And at this time, it looks like she does not have a match. That'll be an automatic 6 points for the dual action points, but you never know. Sometimes this on track wrestling's a little behind and opponents show up, but that's at least the update as of right now. Now, I do believe we are going to have a formal face-off. They have put the chairs out.
Yep, so we just saw some JV. We're going to have a formal duel here. And what I understand, they're going to wrestle some more JV and then maybe another duel as well. So it's a little bit of an odd format, but I'm assuming that they're trying to accommodate the time frame that wrestlers have to have in between matches to make sure that I believe the Star Valley brought a lot more JV wrestlers than what Ridgeline has. And so they're allowing those Ridgeline girls to rest a little bit so that they can go another round with some of the Star Valley JV.
Well, that's a rule that's been in place. Of course, it is up to the wrestler. If the wrestler wants to take advantage of the wait time rule, he or she can approach the table and say, I believe it's 45 minutes this year, but I haven't had my wait time. Now, as you saw, if a wrestler like Hallie Roberts only wrestles for 20 seconds, gets a quick pin, she's probably not going to go to the table and say, hey, I can't go right now. I'm too tired. I just need a lot of rest. So she forfeited that rule at her own discretion to go back-to-back matches, and that's why we saw 2 matches, 2 different mats, but same Star Valley wrestler. But as JR mentioned, if Ridgeline has some wrestlers they want to get some more matches in, they can get out of breath real quick trying to take on the entire Star Valley JV team. So we're pretty deep. We've got an outstanding team, large team.
Yeah, I think they have 32, and I think last week they took 27 to Gillette. So for a girls team, that's a very large team.
It's impressive. Big shout out to our sponsors, Jack's Drive-In, who has put in a brand new miniature golf course. If you haven't got that on your calendar, make sure you put that in your schedule. This mini golf course is organized in 19 holes. Each hole is represented by local businessmen. They are our sponsors today. Hole 1 is represented by Bank of Star Valley. Hole 2, Swift 98.7 and the Spur. Hole 3 is Travis Ladner of Ameriprise Financial Advisors. So there's your first 3 holes represented by some great businesses, local businesses in Star Valley. So we appreciate all the sponsors. We appreciate Jack's Drive-In. Of course, family ties right there with Coach Ivy, and he's done just a magnificent job. He's custom ordered things for the girls, sometimes paid out of his own pocket. We hope we are able to get some more fundraiser type things and some other donations to keep these Lady Braves wrestlers both on the road and able to get the supplies and material that they need to be competitive. We're going to take a pause here as we line up some wrestlers and do the national anthem.
I think it's the national anthem first. Hey, you're doing a great job.
brought a Gatorade, but I forgot. Oh.
Hey, Katie.
Next one will be some Grace Montero. Thank you, Grace.
All right, back on the air. Star Valley Lady Braves Wrestling, December 19th. Merry Christmas week, everybody. I know essentially it's next week, but it's so early in the week that it's kind of Christmas week this week. So Merry Christmas as we face the Ridgeline Riverhawks. You know, on the way here, it was interesting. This hawk, I had no idea that the title or the mascot was the Riverhawks. But this hawk came down, almost got his wings stuck in my window wiper. He flew right next to me, literally right next to my window. Of course, I didn't want to get too distracted and break out the phone, but it would have been a great picture. But now I'm not so sure if that Riverhawk wasn't trying to send me a message. So here we are, Ridgeline Riverhawks, Cache Valley versus Star Valley, Lady Braves Wrestling. This morning I had the opportunity to run into somebody with ties and family here, and that was none other than Bill Spalding. Bill was awaiting his wife who was coming out of surgery, Donna Spalding, and they actually have family here. Of course, their grandson, Kason Spalding, one of the star athletes, both by way of football and wrestling. And we had a lot of neat stories to share there in the hospital while my daughter, Shaylee, was in surgery and his wife was in surgery. And lo and behold, I don't think that either one of us knew we'd run into each other. And I don't know if he knew that the girls were going to be in Ridgeline today, but we talked about that. And he talked about his grandson who has suffered an injury in football. So we wish him the best of blessings that he can get back on the mat this year. But he's taking the right position and health has priority. And I know how tough that is. Our own son, Weston Angel, just made the announcement last night. As many people know, he was involved in a traumatic motorcycle accident in August. Fought his way back, was back to practicing, had a couple incidences. We took him down to Salt Lake, and things were not looking good for him. And I just know what the heartbreaker is to have a youngster whose identity is somewhat tied up into a sport. As he approached both Coach Clark and then his parents and say he feels like it's time to throw in the towel. Senior year, so always tough. I think we've had a couple of girl wrestlers in that position as well. So a lot of neat ties with Cache Valley and Star Valley. And I believe there's still Kennington's here also near Ridgeline. This would be Kevin and Gary Kennington's brother, I believe still lives here. They're the parents of former standout Cade Kennington, who wrestled for Star Valley years ago. I'm sure there's other wrestlers too. I wasn't in the valley at that time, but Bill Spalding was just visiting this morning about some of those great matches in those days as well. By golly, it's a great sport to be part of. You know, as we were in the hospital visiting back and forth, we couldn't think of an Allman or two that wrestled. And all of a sudden a voice out of nowhere came and said, D and Lee Allman. And we turned and nobody was there. sure enough, Pam, who was working at the hospital, stepped out of her office and she said, I just heard you talking about wrestling. I thought I'd tell you who you're probably trying to remember. So Bill and I looked at each other and kind of winked and thought, you can't go very many places in Star Valley without someone who knows, even years ago, of these athletes. They really do make an impression. They make an impact. They make examples, and they can hold their head high being part of one of the, or actually the oldest sport in the world. And it's pretty incredible to see the evolution with the girls having their own team. If you haven't heard the news, of course, Star Valley Braves took first place at the state championship finals last year, their inaugural year, and they were the state champions. And what makes that particularly special is it was all classification. In other words, it wasn't divided off like Cheyenne East and Cheyenne Central and Gillette and Natrona took their division, and Star Valley and Pinedale and so forth took another. It was all classification. So in a sense, you put all the girls together in one tournament, all 4 classes, and Star Valley was able to come out on top.
Yeah, and Star Valley had a very large team that they took to state last year. So it was really cool that it was an all-class, but Star Valley scored a lot of points simply for the fact that they had a lot of wrestlers there. And at state, you can score 2 wrestlers in each weight group. And Star Valley filled most of those weight groups last year. This year, they've got a large team as well. But also at state, from what I understand, the sport of wrestling for girls in the state of Wyoming has grown by 100 members this year, not necessarily on our team, but just statewide. So we're going to have some a lot bigger teams at state and regionals this year, and make it a little bit more competitive, and hopefully it continues to grow and just get a little bit more competitive. I think Star Valley's got a great shot. We've got some great wrestlers, and we've got a large team. And as long as they can stay healthy and keep going, they've got a great shot at a repeat.
That's right. Team looks strong this year. Wyoming's had several young ladies that have been wrestling with the young men. And, of course, some oppose that. Some say, well, let's do it. I think some just saw the vision that this one day was going to happen. But we are among one of the few states that actually have female wrestlers that have placed at state in the boys division. So we've got Emma, her last name.
Emma Carhu from Powell.
That's right.
Placed 3rd one year and I think 5th another year.
Yeah, 2-time placer in the state finals. And again, that was against guys, male wrestlers, and she was able to medal 2 different times. So pretty impressive. We've got others that would be able to do it again this year. But now with the women's division, of course, that opens the door with women to compete against women and so forth. So we won't get to see more history like that being made, but we are seeing a new chapter of history as we witness girls wrestling have their own team. One of the, I shouldn't call disadvantage, but Star Valley is one of the younger, I should say Wyoming is one of the younger teams. A lot of these places in Utah and Idaho have had girls teams for a little longer, so there's a little more experience in some of these neighboring states. But Star Valley has shown their mettle, and they've showed up to fight and to wrestle, and they've proven that they're a force to be reckoned with. Doesn't matter if you're in Utah, Idaho, or Wyoming.
The lights go down. So here we go. Set the battle stage.
All right, starting at 100 for Star Valley, that's Sage Smith.
Looks like we got Sage Smith. Okay, so Sage Smith up against Sydney Walton at 100. At 105, we've got Taylor Leesman of Ridgeline and Carly Angel of Star Valley. 110, we've got Cameron Larson of Ridgeline and Kenna Merritt of Star Valley. 115, we've got Keegan Grange of Ridgeline and Paisley Smith of Star Valley. We've got at 120, we've got Kinley Seal from Ridgeline and Keston Johnson of Star Valley. I got a little bit ahead of myself here. All right, so let's see here. All right, so this is Keston right here, and then we'll get back into when they're coming out on the mats. The next one we've got is Taylor Warren from Ridgeline and Malia Allred from Star Valley. And at 130, we've got Cadence Green from Ridgeline and Samantha Walker of Star Valley. And at 135, we've got Remington Allman from Star Valley and Courtney Saline of Ridgeline. All right, and then at 140, we've got Oakley Hepworth and Taya Crookston. All right, let's see here. I got a little bit lost in the lineup. Let's make sure that we got the right person here. Okay, so we have 145. We had Brianna Lundahl of Ridgeline and Settley Roberts of Star Valley. 155, we've got Emily Walker of Ridgeline and Belle Foreman of Star Valley. And 170, we've got Mariah Radmal of Ridgeline and Shaylee Coons of Star Valley. At 190, we've got Cameron O'Brien of Ridgeline and Stella Lind of Star Valley. And then we've got at 235, Cashley Hepworth. It looks like she's going to have an open opponent there, so she probably won't get a match tonight unless they decide to do an exhibition match.
All right, looks like we are going to start down at the lightweights. I received word that Sage Smith, who represents the team at 100 pounds, will start us off. We have the team captains in the center of the mat. They decide who wins the draw for first, second round choice.
Now, Blake, can you go ahead and explain to us the different points that are scored on a match level and how that accumulates as a team?
You bet. So if there is either a forfeit or a fall, and when I say fall, I'm not saying technical fall, we're talking about pinfall, that secures the team 6 points. It gains that. So that's a 6-point advantage. Should there be a technical fall, you're going to secure 5 points, and that means the opponent gets 15 points at least ahead of the opposing wrestler. So we have tech fall and pinfall. They're separated only by a margin of 1 point. And then the next, you have what's called a major decision. Major decision is at least 8 points advantage, but again, under 15. You hit 15, the match is over. They stop the match. 8 points, they don't stop. The wrestlers keep competing, but so long as that 8-point margin is there, you get what's called a major decision, and you secure 4 points for your team. I believe 4 points. I'll make sure here. Sometimes things change. Now,
I was under the impression that it was 3, but they've changed things in the past. I thought that a major was 3 and a minor was 2, but it could be could be different.
3 points is usually reserved for any decision. And now it looks like Sage Smith, although there was a opponent in the lineup, or at least on track wrestling, she's going to receive that 6 points we talked about, or either a wrestler that was not able to make weight or just had sickness, injury, who knows. But it looks like Sage is going to take that one by technically forfeit. Up next at 105 pounds, we have from Star Valley, Harley Angel. She is a freshman. This is her first year of wrestling. Carly's opponent is Taylor Leishman of Ridgeline. So Leishman, Ridgeline, Angel to Star Valley, 105 pounds. Wrestlers shake hands. And match time is going. Both wrestlers stalking, a little bit reserved for the first round. Not expending too much energy, probably trying to fill each other out. There is quite a bit of hand fighting going on that you may or may not be able to see from the camera's viewpoint. Carly is trying to work that hand control. However, Ridgeline looks like she's been in a few of these matches before, and she understands getting out of those graspy hands. Carly jumps right back in there and says, well, I don't know how experienced you are. It's my first year, but I can play hands too. And that hand control is critical for a lot of shots to be set up. It may not look like much, but an overhand tie versus an underhand tie, a near arm versus a cross arm can make all the difference in the wrestler's position in trying to secure the advantage of a takedown. And you see Ridgeline putting extreme pressure on Carly's head. And if she does that with 2 hands, it's illegal, but she does it with 1 hand. Great slide by Ridgeline. Carly's trying to get out of that. She says, I don't like to have my nose down towards the mat. Once again, Ridgeline very handy, very involved with her hands and seemingly controlling Miss Angel as far as the tie. Oh, Cardi does a little bit of tough tie on her own. We call that muscling. Sometimes muscling is not the best way to get points, but it's kind of an intimidation tactic to say, hey, I've got some strength there too. Let me show you how it feels. And a nice shot from Carly as she comes up. And Ridgeline goes down. Carly was not able to maintain the control. Both wrestlers kind of hit the hip. Carly turns right back into a cowboy, throws a headlock on. She's a little high, and so, folks, the match has been stopped. Carly threw what looked like a completely legal headlock, but she did lose the arm in the transition point. That's going to cost her a point, so Ridgeline takes the advantage 1-0 because of that headlock I was describing before the meet began. As far as legalities, you've got to have an arm in there. Even if you hit on all fours, you got to reach back up, make sure you have that arm. So that ends round number 1. Angel down by 1, and Carly's choice. She looks to coach for advice. Coach gives it back to her, and she said, well, I'll try top on Ridgeline. So Ridgeline takes down, referee's position. We'll see what Carly can work on the top. Nice little tight waist to an arm chop. She stays on that tight waist. Ridgeline does a good job getting her high, bounces her hips over, and takes the advantage with a 2-point reversal against Angel. And that puts the score at 3-0, Ridgeline. Cardi now has got to do something off the bottom as far as avoid being on her belly. When you're on your belly, you're most susceptible to getting arm barred, half Nelsons, and if she can come up to her base, that puts her in a little better position to get to her feet. It's kind of one step at a time. Top wrestler does a good job of threading one arm in. She's got a single chicken wing. Carly doing her best to fight it. Ridgeline going for the stack. Almost gets a tilt, but not successful. Decides to change direction. Big step over the head, and there is a head count. Ridgeline is definitely going to get the near fall here. Now Ridgeline looks like she's going to change off. Take that near arm bar and move to a 2-on-1. The ref is holding the points. The lock's been broke, so Ridgeline does secure those points, and she goes back in for another arm bar to try to gain more. Carly is doing a good job now. She knows it's coming. She's trying to turn her face into it and back the other way, post her legs wide, doing what she can to stay away from this tilt. Top wrestler does get warned for stalling. If you wonder why that happens, they have an obligation to try to get and improve the move. If they ride what's called parallel too long, they can actually lose a point on the second call. So Cardi does great. She comes back to her feet. We're in the neutral position. Cardi's being a little reserved. Had a good shot. That one was a little from space. Ridgeline does a great job. We call that the gator roll. Boy, I think that was on the clock, but the ref says, yeah, I think there was control there. We're going to award it. So going into the third round, it's Ridgeline's choice. Ridgeline then says, well, I can play that game too. I think I'll go top. One thing Carly has, a powerful stand-up. If she can somehow secure the fingers around the tight waist and block going up, first clear the arm off the elbow, she's pretty hard to hold down, even as small as she is. Ridgeline does a great job of breaking her back down to her base. Carly fighting hard. She now has felt out Ridgeline enough to know that she's probably going to armbar. So that leaves Carly kind of scrambling on the bottom, making sure she doesn't get tilted. And Ridgeline goes for what looks to be a near stack. I can't tell if she has a cross wrist on, but I believe she does. All right, Carly now has a chance to grab that as a handle. If she can grab that hand and come up to her feet, we can secure an escape. She does have her far wrist. But we've got to get a leg up. Got to bring a leg up, head up. And she almost gets back to her base. Was on the way of bringing that leg up when Ridgeline catches her in a near side stack with the chicken wing. It looks like she was only trying to set Carly up to sink that arm in a little deeper. Put her in a predicament, then was able to sink that in fairly deep. Carly's in a really tough position right now. Ridgeline's got that 90-degree built, lots of pressure on her chest, and she's slowly going down. It's going to be a tight one to get out of, but again, we've seen miracles in the sport. Wow, Carly was able to.
That's some great fighting.
It takes a lot of energy, a lot of effort. Ridgeline, if you look, she has that near leg locked up with hers. That's called the Iowa or blanket ride. That makes it particularly difficult for Carly to be able to base up and get to her feet. Once she's broke down, you no longer need that blanket ride. But see, as soon as she comes up, Ridgeline tucks her toes under Carly's ankle, and that just really raises Kane for trying to get away. And Carly's got to try some desperation, or she's going to find herself in that margin of check fall. The score is 13-1. However, the time runs out first, so Ridgeline gains a major decision over Carly Angel, 13-1.
What a great Ridgeline wrestler! That's a tough fought match, and also Angel to go out there and to go 3 rounds with a really tough wrestler. That's a great match. I love it when they get out there and they both compete, and that both wrestlers have the skill level, and it's just a matter of getting out there and getting it done.
That's right. Carly knows what it's like, even her size. She's went up against her share of seniors. Her last opponent from South Dakota had been wrestling since she was 5. Carly was actually tied 4-4, but did give it up for the fall. Okay, we have looks like we're going to get another 6 points there without an opponent from Ridgeline, and that should have been Kenna Merritt. Kenna Merritt, for dressing down and putting on her headgear, brings in 6 points for Star Valley. Up next, we have Paisley Smith. Paisley Smith is our 100-pound wrestler, part of that sister duo. All right, time's going. Paisley immediately goes to the hand, tries for control. Ridgeline does a great job of a head tie up, twists her head just a little bit. But Smith says, not today. 2-on-1, climb behind, gets the points. 2 point takedown right to an arm bar. Ridgeline goes over to her back. We've got a few swipes there, and there we are. She's going to readjust, try to pick up an arm and a head. She has the arm secured. She's got an underhook on the other side. That's going to be tight, and it's a pin. Nice job, Miss Smith. Okay, great job for Paisley Smith. First period pin. Up now we have Kesson Johnson from Star Valley. Kesson has roots deep in wrestling. Her own father, one of the competitive standouts from Star Valley High School, Aaron Johnson. And Kesson's proven that she's a force to be reckoned with. Got a lot of moves up her sleeves. See how she fares today against Ridgeline. Looks like her opponent from Ridgeline is Kinley Sill. Kinley Sill of Ridgeline against Keston Johnson, Star Valley. All right. Keston in on a collar tie. She's got the head and the right arm. Near shoulder with her left. Now she's fighting for inside tie. Does a nice look away. Oftentimes that will create an angle just enough to secure a takedown, if not a climb behind. And she immediately shoots in for a blast. Double takes a 2-point advantage. Keston Smith 2-0 against Ridgeline. Great takedown. Ridgeline's reaching inside the leg, which shows an experienced wrestler. Inexperienced will often reach over the leg. So I take it the Ridgeline gal has wrestled a match or two in her life. Keston immediately goes in for the near side cradle, puts her to her back. Ridgeline's kicking, but Keston seemingly has it quite tight. She's working to get knee position in her side, head position. You put that right there. Another fall for Star Valley. Keston Johnson takes one in the first round again. Fantastic pin. Awesome chain wrestling and a fantastic cradle right off from the takedown. We call that chain wrestling when they can transition so smooth. Big hug from Coach Kendall. High five, Coach Zeke. Congratulations, Keston. All right, this is the 125-pound weight class, represented from Star Valley, Malia Allred. Malia Allred has paid the price, doing some off-season training. She's always been tough, but she was able to attend some events on more of the out-of-state national level. Anything to get more experience is crucial in this sport. And she showed that she's willing to pay the price and put in the extra mile and gain more experience. Her opponent from Ridgeline is Taylor Warren. I wonder if it's a Warren related to any of the Warrens in Star Valley. Warren's kind of a Star Valley name. She's in deep. Oh, turns that double into just almost a blast double. But great head pressure, pushes Ridgeline right to her back, gets the takedown. That's another thing with wrestling's more recent change. If the opponent that's getting attacked falls to the rear, it doesn't matter if they're still facing the attacking wrestler. That's 2 points for the wrestler that made the shot. And it used to be you had to get behind, all their limbs had to be on the mat and so forth. But Malia just showed that, no, you blast in, they go down, that's control. And Malia puts kind of herself in a little predicament, gives up a 2-point reversal. Ridgeline now on top. Knots 2-2. Malia works back up, triangular base, comes to her feet. She's hand fighting on the out of bounds line. Back down to her base, but she says, I'll try that again with the inside switch. She's reaching inside the leg, and she's over the leg both. She has it pretty deep, so now we'd almost call that a single leg position. She's got to work to face the opponent and come up to her base and circle towards that near calf. If she can get that elbow around the calf and circle, she can turn this into her own takedown. Oh, she was close, but Ridgeline does a great job of putting on a barbed wire. Barbed wire is a tight move to get out of. Malia's got out of tough food before. Oh! Well, tough bout there. Malia struck first. Looked fantastic. Some of those moves you just fall into, and that was one of them. So great fight, Malia Allred. It looks like Samantha Walker takes 6 points for the dual total points. I believe the score now is 30-10. And Samantha Walker takes a forfeit. Up next from Star Valley, we have Remy Allman. Remy's going against Courtney Salin of Ridgeline. Remy's doing a great job front head control. She's got her in the front headlock. Once again, there's several different moves you can improve yourself from here. Ridgeline, fantastic job kind of ducking her head under and taking what we call the elephant trunk. Grabs that near elbow, pulls it down to get out of the front headlock. We're both back in the neutral position. Once again, both these wrestlers look like they've spent time on the mat. You might be surprised to know that this is Remy's first year. She is an awesome competitor, very strong young lady, and has a will to win. And she's defeated some much more experienced opponents. We'll be keeping an eye on her in the next few years as she's proven that she can compete with about anybody. Great sprawl from Remy. Now she's got to secure the spin behind, which she almost does. Steps over the leg, gains a 2-point takedown. Ridgeline still has her paws on Remy's leg. Makes it a little difficult. Does, in fact, get a near escape. Trying to turn it into a reversal to get 2 points of her own. The ref says, I think we're still in Remy's control there. Remy probably doesn't know that yet. She may have thought she's already given it up. And once they break contact, the ref will award at least 1 point for the escape. If the contact is maintained and Ridgeline spins all the way behind, then she can get a 2-point reversal. Remy says, not today. Ooh. That was a great return. Fantastic return. Remy takes the arm, puts it behind her back, sinks it in a reverse half. Actually, it's a regular half. Lots of pressure. She shifted her weight down to kind of try to push her towards, not out of bounds, but at least that side. Oh, saved by the buzzer. Ridgeline says, I don't know what just hit me, but it was hard. puts Remy in a 5-point lead. Scores 5-0 in favor of Miss Allman. We have a little contested call from the opposing coach. I'm not sure if that might be on the return or no points awarded for an escape, but it looks like it was resolved at the table. We're back to wrestling. Ridgeline pointing to her eye like there might be maybe a contact issue. Okay, we're back to action. Neutral was the position chosen. Second round. Remy leads 5-0. Ridgeline comes in heavy on the head. Remy doing a little bit of setting up, bouncing one paw on the mat, coming back. Ridgeline tries a duck. Remy takes advantage of it, gets an underhook and an overhook. He's got Ridgeline in kind of a tough situation there. Now Remy is going to go ahead and say, well, I think I'll just go ahead and throw that underhook side. She does lose the overhook. As Ridgeline does a good job dropping to the legs to try to secure a double leg. Out of bounds, back to center. Whatever the contested call is, we keep going to the table. And this might be just a table technical thing we're dealing with, whether that be the time, not running on the clock correctly. But when he's pointing to the center of the mat, I tend to believe it's probably a call on the refereeing that the coach is either putting in question or asking for clarification. Looks like we've met that clarification. Back to action. All right, Remy with a pretty hard club there. Ridgeline shoots. Remy unable to get the sprawl behind, goes to a high crotch. I'm going to try to throw Ridgeline to get her position back, but there's an example that we were describing earlier. Once you hit your rear end, even if you have a leg or an arm or facing the opponent, they will grant the attacking wrestler the benefit of the score. So Ridgeline does take a 2-point takedown, even though she has not completely got behind Remy. Remy's told by the coaches and others to go ahead and belly out. Sometimes it's better to take that risk. You've already given up the takedown than to try to fight from that position, because you can give up potential back points if you're not careful. The score now 5-2. Star Valley still leads. Ref telling the wrestlers to keep their action going to avoid a stall call. Remy does a great job getting Ridgeline high, almost bucks her off. Ridgeline throws a hook in, and Remy does a good job of saying, no, we're going to keep rolling here. And we run out of room. I think had we had a little more, I believe Remy actually could have gained the advantage and secured a reversal. It does look like Ridgeline has been accustomed to throwing in hooks before, and what that is called a cross-body ride, where they put a leg across the body and then kind of lace one leg or the other to try to work a series of moves, usually towards the opponent's back. Remy does a quick sit, reaching a little bit behind. She's probably going to come back to the leg eventually, and we run out of time. Score maintains 5-2 in favor of Remy. Star Valley choice. Remy looks at Coach Zeke. Zeke gives his opinion. It looks like Remy chooses top. Sometimes going into the third round, that's a wise choice if you feel yourself a little gassed, especially, or if you've been underneath long enough and not a change in position happen for several minutes. So it's good to say, hey, let's vary this up a little bit. So Remy on top, Ridgeline on bottom. Does a good job of stopping her first range of motion. Runs to the front. Looked like she was afraid she was going to give up that escape, so she transitions into both hands on the screwdriver or the barbed wire, and it works. Down to the mat they go. Remy's in a great position to secure the fall, and she does it. Excellent job. Sometimes running around to the front can be to your advantage. Remy's strong there. And she said, I'm going to do it. We're not going to go another round. So fantastic wrestling. Remy Allman. Excellent job. Now, she would have been ahead by a margin of 8-2 had she not gained the fall, but we'll take that 6 points for the team points. All right, looks like we have Miss Hepworth going to take a forfeit. And here again, I apologize. It looked like on the chart she had an opponent to wrestle tonight, but she didn't get her heart rate up too much for that win. That was Oakley Hepworth, by the way, and also followed by Steadily Roberts, Star Valley, who also had an opposing wrestler. I'm interested to hear the story of why we have so many wrestlers on the lineup, but so few showing up. Either Star Valley looks really mean, or maybe that's why we're not shaking hands. Maybe that bug has taken half of the team of Ridgeline to the bed. Maybe they're all sick. Okay. Beautiful duck. This is Belle Foreman, returning state champion, Star Valley wrestling 155 pounds. That's a beautiful takedown. The bar was slightly in my way. I believe it was a duck, but she hit it so fast and smooth, I could be completely wrong. Does a fantastic job taking that far elbow right above the joint. That's perfect. And she puts that pressure right back to her, kind of lifts the face of the opponent. And that just really puts the pressure either for the cradle or she can change off to the barbed wire. And she's going to go cradle. And it's tight knee right in the side of the ribs. And if she rocks back even an inch more this way, there it looks like that's going to be a fall. Belle Foreman in an awesome cradle. Fantastic first round pin from our state champion and undefeated wrestler, Belle Foreman. Well done. Well, she's a competitor. We've watched Belle Foreman come down to some of the biggest divisions in Utah, and she is yet to drop a match in sickness or health. She has maintained her winning streak of going on 2 years now. So fantastic performance from one of our own. Up next, Shaylee Coots. Shaylee takes that one home by forfeit. So another 6 point advantage. The score is now 60-10 in favor of Star Valley. And yet another. That was Stella Lynn takes the forfeit. And Cashley Hepworth also takes 6 points for the forfeit. Well, folks, watching on SBI Media for the varsity side of things, that wraps the duel up with the score of 72-10 in favor of Star Valley. Now we're going to keep the wrestling action going, but that finishes the final score by way of the dual score. We have more wrestling, so don't log off yet. If you love wrestling, we're going to transition right into some more matches. All right, looks like we got Sage Smith coming back for round two. I'm not sure the name of her opponent, but that's quite a flashy uniform, isn't it?
It is indeed.
Ridgeline shoots off the whistle, takes a reshot after the first one doesn't work. Sage doing a good job, heavy on the hips, able to get the crossface, and nearly spin behind for 2 points. Ref's calling something there. I don't believe he's awarded the 2 yet. Sure looks like it should be there. And now she covers the waist. That should be 2. Nope. She's still going to have to fight for it. Ridgeline doing a great job of just spinning, facing. There we go. Covers for 2 points takedown. Sage takes the lead. And we're going to go suicide cradle all the way over the falls. And this is looking great. Nice. Excellent cradle.
Great pin. It makes me nervous every time they do that suicide cradle and pull it across their body there.
It looks risky. Okay, great job. The Smith sisters are on a roll tonight. They have shown some dominance here in the great state of Utah. All right, up next we have from Star Valley, Aurora Clark. She's waiting patiently, hands behind her back for her opponent from Ridgeline. And we have another flashy singlet, don't we?
Yeah, it looks like those may be their JV singlets.
Possibly so. All right. Aurora, she definitely has the inside tie. That's to her advantage. She can kind of shake and bake things up a little better than her opponent when that's the case. Still maintaining that tie. Great spin behind off a shot of Ridgeline. Her quickness is going to pay off as she covers the waist and nearly gets a takedown. Ridgeline does a good job of getting hand over the waist to try to get her own. This is anyone's point. Oh, and they're going to give that one to Ridgeline, 2-0. But a great battle from Aurora. Now we get 1 point for the escape, score 2-1. Another shot from Ridgeline. Aurora does a great spin, gets the takedown for 2. That brings us ahead 3-2 in favor of Star Valley. And we've got a bar on. Is that a bar? From my angle, might be a half, but we nearly got a turn there. And we're going to go back to our feet for another 1 point escape. Lots of points being put on the chart. We're now tied 3-3 with 33 seconds left in the first round. Aurora back to that inside tie. Excuse me, she's on the outside now. Outside tie, but she does have the collar, the head position good. And she does another great climb behind, was able to secure. Oh!
Rolled through it.
Ridgeline was kind of looking ready for that. And Ridgeline's getting back points. Oh, I tell you what, that's another one of those. It just fell the wrong way.
Sometimes you just find yourself on your back like that, and they scoop the head and the leg and put you in that Granby, and you're just kind of stuck there.
That's exactly what it looked like. That girl knew that position from probably practicing the Granby and thought, hey, I'll just sit here and rear back. And it worked. Once again, thanks for our sponsors. Hole 4 at the Jack's Drive-In Miniature Golf Course this year. Again, that's opening this spring. We've got Hole 4 is Northern Title of Star Valley. Hole 5, Bridger Fitness. And Hole 6, Neil Wiedenboss and Morton Building. So we appreciate those local businesses and families who have sponsored the Star Valley Braves wrestling. Hole 7, Summit Dirt Works. Moving on to Hole 8 is Grubbs Painting. And then Hole 9, a name we're all familiar with, and that's Randy Thompson with Thompson Insurance Agency. Randy Thompson's been a great asset for the youngsters coming up wrestling. Also had very competitive wrestlers of his own going through high school, state champions and such. We appreciate Randy Thompson, his support and sponsorship. I'll tell you what, this looks like maybe we've divided into 2 teams. Is that right?
That's what I'm wondering, because they're definitely going to have another formal duel here.
All right. Well, Sage Smith, Star Valley, I believe they said Lopez. I don't have the names of these wrestlers. Carly Angel to the center of the mat for 105 pounds. And Kenna Merritt in the center of the mat for her face-off against her opponent. Kenna Merritt, 110 pounds. And from Star Valley, Paisley Smith, Sage's sister. Keston Johnson, Star Valley, takes the center. Kinley Sill. So we were off a duel. So that was Kinley Sill from Ridgeline. This is Malia Allred versus, is this Taylor Warren, did they say? I didn't catch that name. Again, we apologize. We're a little off. Samantha Walker, wrestling 130 pounds. She's followed by Remington. Remington Allman. I apologize. I've been calling Remington Remy. Oakley Hepworth, who was just in the center of the mat. Stephanie Roberts, I believe. That was Stephanie Roberts at 145. And at 155, we have Val Foreman. And she will be going against Emilia Welker. So we apologize. Some of those other names may have been off. So if you're from Cache Valley listening, we apologize. Shaylee Coots at the center of the mat for 170. Next at 190 is Stella Lynn from Star Valley. Ashley Hepworth, our final wrestler, takes the center of the mat. And she does indeed have an opponent. I didn't catch the name, but we have a Ridgeline and Star Valley final match coming up your way. So we indeed have some of those holes being filled that we thought may be vacancies. Well, this is great. So it's almost like having two duels in one evening.
Yeah, a little bit of an odd format. We've never seen them, do a full-on duel and have a little bit of JV in the middle and then into another duel. But, hey, the duels are awesome. I love the head-to-head experience. And I think that it really takes wrestling that is an individual sport and very much personifies it as a team sport. You can see the points and how you're helping your team.
You bet. It's one of those few sports that it does have one-on-one combat, but it is still team effort, especially the teams. There's no such thing as one person wrestling. You got to have a partner. You got to have a wrestling mate. And there's varsity and there's JV, but it takes a team to show up. So. All right, this is Sydney Walton from Ridgeline, and she'll be going against Sage Smith of Star Valley. That's Smith, Star Valley, Walton of Ridgeline. I think we know this, but just so that we're clear, Ridgeline is indeed in the blue. So if you're listening from Cache Valley, blue, Star Valley is going to take the color of red. That translates into Star Valley usually being the red ankle band and Ridgeline being the green. So as the ref flags the score, be watching for which wrist goes in the air, because that will indicate who's scoring the points in case you get a little lost in the scramble. Green would be Ridgeline, red would be Star Valley. The red is on his left wrist, the green being on his right. Great slide by Ridgeline, but Smith takes it one of her own, pulls her head right out from that throw, and is able to secure a takedown for two. Sage is hunting for that cradle. You can see it coming together pretty good. And she does get it locked, I believe. Ridgeline was able to either break the lock or maybe it wasn't quite there. Transitions that off to a nice crossface above the elbow. Heading for the cradle again. Head to the knee. A lot of pressure there. Ridgeline knows it's coming. Does a good job of fighting fingers. In wrestling, you cannot just grab one finger and bend it back. They will call that. The idea is to have 5-on-5, but sometimes just out of accident, the wrestler fighting for their life will just grab one finger. In that case, they would stop it and award a point to the wrestler whose one finger is being grabbed. Ridgeline does a great job back to her feet. We're going to go neutral. 1 point escape. Score is now 2-1 in favor of Star Valley. Beautiful duck in on the leg. It's the far leg, but she's going to change that off to a near bear hug and turns into a climb behind. Gets the 2 points. Excellent job for Miss Smith. That leads us now 4-1 in favor of Star Valley. Sage Smith. Once again, has that tight cross face on. Ridgeline probably knows it's coming, but sometimes when you have that much pressure on your face and it's in your arm, you're not thinking a whole lot about not getting it put on. You're just thinking about surviving. Green's choice, entering the second round. Green takes top position. That'll put Sage Smith starting bottom, referee's position. Again, score is 4-1 in favor of Sage. All right, bottom wrestler's set. Top wrestler's given permission to start, and we go right off the whistle. Comes up to a tripod stand-up, turns it into a bipedal stand-up, and she's got hand spot. She's almost out. Ridgeline putting a lot of pressure, trying to. Now you can only hold them here for 5 seconds before you're called for stalling, and Ridgeline probably did the wise choice and just said, well, let's just cut her loose. Because that stalling can end up losing a point later when it matters if you have 2 of those. So she said, we'll just start back at neutral. I think we have a poke in the eye, so the ref says, let's stop the action for a moment. Now, if the score is right that they have on the board, it shows a score of 5-1. And we did get the last escape, and I believe it was 4-0. No, it had to be 4-1. So I guess 1 point escape puts it at 5-1. So Miss Smith getting a little bit of advice during the downtime from 3 great coaches. I'll tell you, those 3 coaches have done just a phenomenal job with these Lady Braves wrestlers. We were visiting with Coach Foreman the other day saying, if anyone wants to make a fantastic movie, Star Valley's inaugural wrestling season would be an awesome movie. Other teams, they just kind of get intimidated when they see Coach Foreman step off the bus or step into the building. She has the look of competitiveness, of greatness, and I think she stands over 6 foot tall. Isn't that right, JR?
I would say so. And what an awesome thing. We've had the decades of Star Valley wrestling as a tradition on the men's team, and now to have the women's team kind of starting their own legacy, if you will. And they started off good with winning the first ever state championship in Wyoming, and boy, they don't look like they're going to slow down. They look like they're going to build their own legacy, just like the boys team did.
That's right. So maybe it's good we didn't make that movie the first year.
We're not done yet, huh?
Year number 2 may bring in some awesome things that will make that movie a little more appealing even. But I don't know how much more appealing you can get. It was just a fantastic year for the Lady Braves last year, all the way around.
And it's kind of fun to move from last year. There weren't very many duels because you didn't have teams that were full enough to fill the full varsity squad to go out and actually duel against a team. And this year, even though we had to travel a little bit down here to Utah, it's nice to see full teams on both sides and to be able to have a true duel, one team to another.
Absolutely. Okay, we've resolved the poke in the eye. We're back into action. We start neutral position. Sage working hands. She fakes a shot, goes right back to the climb behind, takes 2 points to make the lead 7-1. Ridgeline does a good job back to her feet, fights hard, gets another point of her own, takes the score to 7-2, still in favor of Star Valley. Smith heavy on the heads. Ridgeline takes an advantage, says, I'm going to duck that. Big attempt, but Smith's going to stop her in her tracks. She actually is looking for a near side or a far side cradle. Instead, she runs behind and says, let's just get the 2 points first, and then we'll work some magic after. Score now 9-2 in favor of Smith. Ridgeline comes up kind of to a triangular stand-up. Sage switches to the far side, going for cradle again. And she's still going to stick with it. She's got the cross face on, a little above the elbow. She buries that shoulder to the mat, and that puts a lot of pressure on that bottom wrestler. The problem is sometimes we don't want to bend that way once we're completely flat. And so that's why wrestlers will sometimes change it off to a barbed wire or screwdriver. But if they do start to give, they do start to bend even a little bit, the top wrestler will take that and just continue honing in on that until they get their knee a little closer to their head, lock it up for a cradle. So you see Sage has changed that off to that barbed wire that we were just talking about. And while she does get her in a predicament, there wasn't enough angle there to count for a near fall. So we're going to maintain that score 9-2 going into the third. Star Valley choice. I believe she deferred or she chose top. Either way, we're going Smith on the top, Ridgeline on the bottom. Back to action. Smith does a good job controlling that leg. You can see her trying to sweep that near blanket. They call that the Iowa or blanket ride. And just as that last match with Carly Angel, it sure makes it tough for the bottom wrestler to do any magic on their feet. Ridgeline kind of hanging Smith over the top with that arm. She takes that as a handle and just tries to pull her over to get her high. Smith is able to gain her arm back. Takes the crossface, steps over, back to the crossface on the other side, and she's going to look for that cradle again. Almost comes. Ridgeline bellies out, says we don't want to get in that cradle today. We're going back to two, the near side dump, and we're getting back points, I believe. The ref swiping. Smith has her on her back. Ridgeline is in a little bit of hurt here, little trouble, and it's a fall. Paige Smith, nice job. Third round pin. And once again, had the pin not been there, she would have led by an advantage of 12-2. But we'll take that 6 points. Nice job, Sage Smith. Now again, if you're just joining us, this is, in a sense, the second duel of the evening. Star Valley leads 6-0. Up next from Star Valley, filling the 105-pound weight class is Carly Angel. Carly wrestling against a Ridgeline opponent who I'm waiting to get the name of. Both wrestlers kind of head-to-head. Ridgeline takes a shot. Carly does a good job sweeping behind. Almost secures a takedown, but Ridgeline extremely quick. These both seem to be very quick wrestlers. Great movement. Carly takes the head, tries to get in position on the tie-up. Pops her tie off. That would have been a great opportunity to kind of go underneath for either a high C or a sweep single. Ridgeline switching this way and that way. And that's just part of the setup. We don't know what's in her mind, what direction she wants, but she definitely looks like she's setting. McCarty in for a deep shot. Gains control with the leg. No control as far as points, but she's spinning fast, and she does secure it as Ridgeline goes to her belly. Carly right back on her like a hawk. Now, if she can stay behind the armpits and stay on that tight waist, she'll be better off. There it is. She's working for an arm chop. The other wrestler goes to her butt and gets the escape. Score now 2-1 in favor of Angel. Carly now has wrist control. Ridgeline fighting to get out of that. And we're hoping the same thing, that Carly's using that hand motion and hand fighting to set up her own takedown. Back to that wrist control. Ridgeline takes a shot. Carly does a nice job of sweeping behind, gains another 2-point takedown to lead 4-1. Ridgeline seems a little bigger, at least a little bit stronger on her base. Now we're going to run out of the good old real estate back to center, which is too bad. It looked like Carly had a chicken wing, or what others call an arm bar. That's actually what I call it as well, but she was ready to run that, but just ran out of match space. Okay, Ridgeline takes down position as Carly gets set on top. She leads 4-1. 9 seconds left in the first round. And this is where you have to be really careful. Ridgeline is going to try to do a suicide roll or kind of a risky stand-up. They don't have anything to lose with the seconds left. hard to get pinned in that amount of time. Carly's just got to not only work to maintain the control, but continue to try to put her to her back. Neither wrestler able to gain any more points out of that 9 seconds. We go to the second round. Red choice. Carly looks to her coaches, and I'm not sure if the coach's flag top, but she did choose top, so Ridgeline goes down into the second. All right. Carly set and action. It's a great chop. She can stay behind her. She's getting a little high. She throws a hook in, kind of more of a safety, saying, I don't want to get bucked off. She throws her other one almost in. Ridgeline does a good job of taking advantage of that high and gets 2-point reversal. Score now tight, 3-4. Carly up by 1. Ridgeline is really working hard, putting lots of pressure in, trying to do some chain wrestling. Sees the out-of-bound line, changes direction to try to push Carly back towards the center, and indeed does just that. Carly has fingers. She's going to be out, and there's they're going to go right to a reversal rather than a takedown off of an escape. I think I would have awarded that an escape, 1 point, and then an immediate takedown. But Carly was so quick, the ref says, hey, that's too much work to raise my hand that much. We're just going to go 2-point reversal. All right, so that puts the score at 3-6 in favor of Star Valley, Carly Angel. She's working cross wrist control. She can motorcycle grip that back to her opponent's stomach. And then she can work things like an arm bar and half Nelson, get her broke down. But Ridgeline, it's hard to see, but she keeps grabbing Carly's hands and kind of keeps that from happening. Ridgeline to her feet. Carly's got 5 seconds to return her. She does. She's hanging on to a leg for dear life. Does not want to give up that escape point. She comes out the back door, and back to wrestling action we go off mat. Great fight from Ridgeline. She was able to get to her feet, but Carly was able to keep the control. So Ridgeline goes back underneath. Carly leads 6-3. 31 seconds left of the second period. All right, you'll see both wrestlers huffing a little bit. We can't get tired yet. We've got to have some more gas in the tank. We still have another round and 30 seconds to go. So refs being kind, let them get a little air, I guess. Right back into that great chop. Kind of sends her to 11 o'clock, which is perfect. Now there's an opportunity for Carly to get a leg in again. Instead, she takes a head and an arm. You've got to be careful here. The opposing wrestler has seen this before and is going to get a throw on her own. Carly's arm is up in the air. It's her injured arm, I believe. So she aborts the headlock, goes to hand control. Not without Ridgeline getting 2 points of her own. Now, I think that is going to be challenged by Coach Ivy. As you saw, there was all fours were not on the mat. There may be, at most, an escape there. But the takedown did definitely seem to be a little early awarded. If it is indeed awarded, that puts this match to a 1-point margin. Carly's still leading 6-5. Looks like the ref says, I'm in control here, and I know what I'm doing, and we're going to keep it as it is. So Carly down in the down position, I believe leading by 1. 6 seconds left, second round. Now this is where Carly has to do a little bit of flying magic to take advantage of the clock. And she's down to 3 seconds. Can she do it? She twists and shouts, and she does. She gets not only the escape, but the ref's going to pay it back to her and go ahead and give her the takedown. And here we have Ridgeline's coach going to contest that. I think we're at equals, don't you think, JR?
Yeah, I would say so. I think that both of them were quick calls. That takedown looked like it was a little bit after the clock, but I thought the other one was not quite a complete takedown either.
Kind of falls on the fringes there. In the ref's mind, it was a takedown. But by the time the neurons got from the brain to the hand, he raised it, and it was indeed after the clock.
Right.
However, the opponent did look like she was going down either in motion or stopped on her rear by Carly, so it could have been either way. We're going to keep the takedown, go 5-8, advantage Star Valley, Carly Angel. Going into the third. Opponent picks neutral, throws Carly into a cowboy, right on the out of bounds. She's getting points and she's getting the takedown, so that would put her essentially ahead if Carly doesn't get out and come back with some hard wrestling. Cardi does get off her back, so that's a great start. But that's going to put her down by 2. So you can see why Ridgeline chose neutral. He said, I'm going to make up for some lost ground and lost points, and he gets it done. He was able to get 5 points out of that move. 4 points. I believe.
Really quick switch of events here, but the stand-up can change things real quick here.
We got Card does comes
Good
up
position.
to her feet. However, her base broke back down to her belly just for a moment. She's back to her base again, and she gets slung in a tight half. This is going to be extremely hard to get out of. Cardi can do it. Third round. Oh. Well, in Ridgeline's defense, that was a powerful comeback. She flops on her back and looks to the sky and says, I did it. Cardi lays down. I think that worked her arm pretty good and maybe a couple other of her limbs. That's just a heartbreaker, to be ahead for almost 3 rounds. And to lose that takedown by throw, and now all of a sudden you find yourself trying to catch up. She does get to her feet, but Ridgeline took full advantage of that. Ridgeline in extremely good shape. I wouldn't be surprised to hear if she's not a cross-country runner. That third round, she still had quite a bit of gas in the tank.
What a great match, and we hope that the Star Valley wrestler's not injured. We don't want any of these kids to get injured, and I know that's a hard thing to understand when you're in there trying to inflict pain, if you will, but we don't want to see any of these kids hurt.
Good fight. A lot of points scored. And again, no one loses. We just learned. All right, up now is Kenna Merritt from Star Valley. Starting on her feet against Ridgeline. And hard to dare say who it is from Ridgeline. I'm going to take a stab here and say this might be Cameron Larson. Nice. Go under right to a double leg. And Kenna gains the advantage of takedown to lead this match 2-0 in the first round. I believe we stopped the action there for a headgear adjustment. But Kenna did have first she had a half on the other side. She switched sides, sunk in another half, kind of had that girl mixed up a little bit. Might have been good for Ridgeline that the action was stopped. Let her get her breath back because Kenna is hunting that half. Kenna stops that first action, turns it right into a chop. Runs to the side to try to chase what looks like looked like she was trying to hunt the near side cradle. Instead, turns that into a half. Goes to the side, chest to chest, creates a great angle, picks up on the head, lifts, pinches and squeezes, and this is tight. She's got the arm elevated. She's looking at the ref saying, which way do you want me to go here? And she secures the win by pinfall. Great job, Kenna Merritt from Star Valley. That puts our team points back in lead after a tie of 6-6 to 12-6. Star Valley leads. Up next, we have another Smith sister, this time Paisley Smith. Paisley wrestling at 115 pounds. We'd like to think her opponent is also that weight, but she does look a little bigger. Smith doing a good job controlling hands, tries to pull her down to get her out of position. Ridgeline was able to get out of that and shoots to take a double leg, and we're going to go out of bounds. No points, back to center. Little head tap, we'll have to watch that. Ridgeline is good, slapping the head and going. Now, if you're from Cache Valley, I'll apologize right now if I say we'll have to watch that. I myself being from Star Valley. And Ridgeline does a great job, kind of a single cow catch roll to one side. But Smith, fantastic, just rolling on with it, coming back to her feet to get out of danger. Breaks the lock off the single leg. I'll tell you, Smith is here to wrestle. Another good setup and shot, but another excellent block in defense by Smith. All stitched up. And that was off of Ridgeline's shot. So great defense by Smith. She puts her back to her back again, and the count resumes. So we're going to get at least 2-point takedown and at least a 3-point near fall, if not a pin. And it looks like it's going to be in that direction. Ridgeline is a long time to fight here. And it's done by pinfall. Great job, Smith. And I'll tell you what, you can tell that wrestler was an experienced wrestler.
Oh, yeah.
Super
and that's
job.
a classic example of sometimes you find yourself just kind of scrambling and you're just wrestling through it. And, it's really the mat time and the experience that you just find yourself. You find your arm in a spot or your leg in a spot and you can roll into a move and get it going. But, man, a lot of scrambling there with no points to turn into just a wonderful match.
Yep. We took advantage of any weakness, if there was any, by the Ridgeline wrestler. I think just her over-aggressiveness found her in the right position at the right time. Okay, here we have Keston Johnson from Star Valley. She's got a 2-on-1. We call that the Russian tie. Aborts that to go for the
rolled it through. That was a nice roll through.
Very good. It was a good attempt of Ridgeline to try to avoid getting taken down by that climb behind. But Keston almost was predicting it. Was able to get the takedown on her side. Goes right into 2-on-1.
Trying to dig out that barbed wire, it looks like.
And she cracks that 90. Not quite. I don't think the ref flagged yet, did he, JR?
I don't think he's swiped yet. There we go. 3.
Perfect. Another first-round pin, Star Valley, Keston Johnson. Puts the dual score at 24-6. Star Valley over Riverhawks. Malia Allred, sister duo Malia. We've seen her and her sister go tonight. We're going to see her again. The 125-pound classification, we've got Malia. Once again, I hardly don't dare mention the Ridgeline wrestler unless someone comes up and tells me her name. Malia, beautiful shot, double leg, down, and she takes the 2-point advantage.
Boy, Star Valley sure does like that barbed wire. She's digging out an arm right there. Trying to tie those both up and a little bit of force to get her to her back. And now she's got her at an angle. We're getting some swipes there. Just trying to get that center of mass, chest to chest there. And she rolls out of it and we get some back points out of it. Now she's got it up. She's got the Ridgeline wrestlers up to a base. Star Valley's got a half Nelson in, still trying to power it down to the mat. Takes it back down to the mat there. Now you go to work again and start over with your moves there. She's got another half Nelson in now. Crying over. We got some more swipes going on. And she rolls, Ridgeline wrestler rolls through. And that'll make the score currently, looks like it's going to be 6-0 in favor of Star Valley. Star Valley on top, just trying to work the different moves, trying to get the different positions. She's got a half Nelson in deep. But this Ridgeline wrestler is good at basing up and making that a little bit difficult when she puts that half Nelson in. Once again, back to the mat and laid out here. Just trying to lock up the cradle there. Boy, there's nothing more painful than knowing that your opponent's trying to run your head down to your knee to lock up that cradle. And Doesn't lock it up quite in time, and so we're going to go ahead and hit into the next period here.
It's a little late, but I don't know if it still applies. Hey, back to action. Leah stops that first range of motion, breaks her opponent down to her base. Sinks another half in. On the near side, goes ahead and makes the tilt. She's getting back points. She looks over to the coach and said, is that tight enough? And it does look tight.
That's a good pin there. You see those wrestlers when they've got them on their back there, they put chest to chest there and get off their knees, get up on those toes, and put every ounce of that weight as they can on their other wrestler and have them carry their weight. Great pin by Star Valley wrestler there.
Leah Allred takes that one by pinfall to lead the duel at 30-6. Up next, from Star Valley, we have veteran wrestler Sam Walker. Walker of Star Valley, and I believe this is 130 pounds. Yes, 130-pound weight class. Walker of Star Valley. Takes a nice, clean single leg shot, comes up to her feet. Opposing wrestler does it beautiful. You just kind of go between the legs and rock back and roll, and that's a great counter. But Star Valley says, hey, I can play that game right back, and gets 2 points herself. That was a great counter off the single leg. And Sam she's been around a little bit with the wrestling. She was able to still take advantage of her shot and finish it. Keeps a heavy tight waist on. Sometimes goes to that. Looks like we're broke down. I can't quite see what the other hand is doing. But she notice her head, lots of heavy pressure. She keeps that head on her opponent's back or head, and that just adds to that weight that JR was talking about, especially when you come off your knees, get on your toes. There's a lot of pressure right there. And, she's hunting for a stack, it looks like. Takes that cross wrist, changes it, switches sides, hits the half, goes to the far cross wrist now. Sometimes you see these experienced wrestlers, they can work both sides. Or someone just starting is just getting comfortable on one side. Sam has shown that she can work both sides in any position. So you see her kind of bounce from one to the other. That's just because she's comfortable on either side. So it's the moment the opponent blocks her move or pinches down on the half, Sam's able to sink the other side in and try to run the move from the opposite side. Both these wrestlers have seen some time on the mat, haven't they?
Oh, for sure. They're definitely going at it, and like you said, she's jumping side to side, showing that she can work from either side there.
Breaks her down to her belly. That's a good advantage. Sinks the half in, takes the near leg dump. Over the fall she goes. She's chest to chest, and we get enough.
Saved by the bell again.
Absolutely, but not without gaining some back points. Looks like we only got a couple of swipes there. You do have to have 5 to get the full 3 points, but anything beyond 2 swipes, that's a count, almost like 2 seconds, gives 2 points. That's called the near fall. So Miss Walker takes the takedown in the first round, also gets 2-point near fall to lead 4-0 going into the second. Beautiful
nice switch.
Transitions right to single leg, takes the left head for a dump. And we're going 2-point reversal to stretch the lead 6-0 in favor of Walker. She's putting on that spiral ride. That's where one hand comes off the waist, kind of goes to the thigh of the opposing wrestler. And then as you pressure forward with your legs, that essentially breaks down the bottom wrestler. It stretches them out so that their base becomes jeopardized and the top wrestler is able to get them flat. Now she changes off here a little early. It was on the outer. I don't think she's in any danger at all here. She probably likes wrestling on her feet, but we did give up 1 point for the escape. score now 6-1 in favor of Walker Star Valley. Oh, that's a Russian tie on Walker. She's able to get out of that. Ref says we want more action from Miss Walker, so he's going to ding her with a warning. No point yet, but should she back up again, it's going to cost her a point. Now, Ridgeline does a great, we call that a slide by off the tie. And I'm not so sure if Samantha looks a little either fatigued or like she got jarred a little bit here. That wasn't the typical reaction that you would see from Samantha to give that slide by up, almost seemingly easy. I hope she's okay, and I think she is. Ridgeline tries the gator roll, and while it looks good and fancy, she wasn't able to thread. I think Samantha is struggling a little bit, so my assessment may have been accurate. We may need to take some injury time here. Coaches are looking at her and they're deciding if it's time to keep wrestling. And it looks like she says, "Hey, we're in it to win it. I'm ahead by 3." Something's bothering her though, whether that's in her guts or winded. She's got a little pain, but she's still going to wrestle. Okay, again, we're into the third round. Star Valley top position. Samantha Walker. Samantha leads by 3 with a score of 6-3.
Samantha's been really good on top here. Let's see if she can be able to, if she can ride her out through this period.
That might be what she's working for, where she's been seemingly injured. It's always a tough call to decide if you should take your injury time or save that. You only have so many minutes of injury time before it's a DQ, meaning you've essentially been disqualified by reason of health or injury, which gives the opponent the win. And if she's ahead, she doesn't want to take the injury time. Maybe she's afraid that the injury will get worse with time rather than better, so we might as well wrestle with what time we have.
Right. And being on top and trying to ride them out for a whole period, that's a tough thing to do because you do have to show the action. Otherwise, like you mentioned earlier, you get the stalling calls and, it's progression all the time.
And speaking of the ref, you've noticed he has already warned her to work something, whether that means get off the parallel ride, come out the side for a moment, but be looking to improve, which she does, and that should get the ref off her case. We're down to 40 seconds. We lead by 3. Sam Walker, Star Valley. Bottom wrestlers trying to do what's called a tuck and roll, where you take that limb and you kind of sink it to the mat in hopes of being able to get the top wrestler to fall down to her hips and shoulder, and then you try to swim over. That wasn't successful. She goes back to the regular referee's position. Samantha's now down to 15 seconds. Bottom wrestler has not given up, but has definitely slowed the pace down. Samantha takes a near side half, flips her over, gets at least 2 swipes, and we can pin her here. Toes have got to stay in. Oh, as soon as she steps out, there we go. That's the time. We take another 3-point from the near fall danger, which puts the score at 9-3. Great job, Miss Walker. Takes the decision, almost a major decision. Score of 9-3. Gives Star Valley another 3 points on the dual meet. All right, up next we have Remy Allman from Star Valley. I don't know if you can hear that announcer to know who the Ridgeline wrestler is, but she looks like she's been wrestling. Has a very good stance. Stays in good position. Remy, although second-year wrestler, she probably fits more in the category of someone that's been wrestling 4 or 5 years. She's really taking the sport well. Good hips there, sprawling. And we go out of bounds, back to neutral, center of the mat, 0-0. Remy with a great low stance herself. Both wrestlers trying to create some angles here. So they're not just shooting out of control, but trying to build some technique and momentum behind their shot. Remy's going to do a snap down. She's got her wrestler in double underhooks, chin on top. Ridgeline able to get out of that, put on a single, trying to turn that into a double. Remy's got one underhook still on and gets the takedown for two. Also near fall. I believe the ref was able to count twice. Remy still trying to put some hips into it, gets it back to her mat again. And once again, we're back to counting. Now, if Remy can slide one of those legs in, I think she's going to just, oh, excellent. Trade that off into a half Nelson, stretches the arm out. And we get a pinfall. First round. Excellent job from Remy Allman. All right, Taya Crookston from Ridgeline versus Oakley Hepworth of Star Valley. Oakley and Taya wrestling 140 pounds. Some pretty effective fakes there, but Hepworth saying I'm not giving into those this early yet. Ridgeline, though, trying to set up a shot by doing several fakes. Hepworth's very tough, although Ridgeline does look like she's put a little time in the weight room herself. You can see her arms bulging and some muscles showing. As we've learned in Star Valley, if you're raised on a dairy, a.k.a. Rulon Gardner tough, you may not have the bulging muscles, but you have the bulging heart. And Star Valley's been able to put a lot of hurt on seemingly stronger and more technical wrestlers just because of their farm and ranch strength. Hepworth's definitely got that. Ridgeline trying to do a 2-on-1 and call that again a Russian tie. She gives that up. Actually, Hepworth was able just to break that. A few more fakes. We're down to 45 seconds. First round, no points. You've got to be careful with pulling back. Sometimes that's exactly what the opposing wrestler wants to do, and she does get a good shot. Cleans up the single leg, elevates, able to gain 2-point advantage over Hepworth. Hepworth now has to be careful. She can't give up that angle, and she does slightly go over to be giving up some near fall swipes. We've only got 19 seconds on the clock. If she can fight off, keep one elbow down, keep that shoulder blade free for another 12 seconds. Oh, so close. Ridgeline able to pick up the pin. Well, that was a long first round with no points. Well, there's some things that only experience will keep improving. Oakley Hepworth, she sticks with it. She watched video. She'll learn from it. She'll be able to come back stronger and fight harder on the next match. So good fight, though, for most of that period. We just had a few seconds left to go a second round. All right, back to wrestling action. We have on the mat from Star Valley, Sedley Roberts wrestling in the crimson and gold against Ridgeline wrestler. Did you catch the Ridgeline wrestler's name?
I did not.
Okay. Roberts maintain a low stance, blocking those hands. Ridgeline trying to get below her hands to try to get a shot herself. Roberts' his elbows in and down, and she's able to kind of keep blocking her. We'll see if Roberts decides to take a shot of her own. She's definitely low enough. And there's a shot and kind of headbutt. Ridgeline takes advantage of that. Catches her in the front headlock. Tries the underhook on one side. Gives that up to get behind for 2-point takedown. Ridgeline will take the lead in the first period. Roberts is being told, keep your head up. Don't lay down. Don't stall point. Not a stall point, but rather a warning was given as Roberts was flattened out and seemingly not showing enough action, at least in the ref's opinion. Skyview has a near arm bar on and goes over. This could be a difficult one to get out of, and it indeed shows that it is. 11 seconds left. Ridgeline takes that one to narrow the gap up a little bit against Star Valley in tonight's duel. 18-39 is the team score. Bell Foreman, match number 2 of the evening, takes a nice spin behind to lead early, 2-0. Sinks in a half. Drops her shoulders, chest to chest, gets one swipe out of it. Ridgeline trying to block at the thigh. Bell continues to circle towards the head and gets all the swipes coming. She breaks free and says, let's wrestle some more. I think she could have probably went for the pin there, but sometimes wrestlers just want to get some time on the mat. They've traveled this far, let's get some points. So indeed she does that. She gives up one to secure 2 more for a takedown to lead 7-1. Immediately puts on that cross space. Looking for a leg for that near dump, or trying to decide if Ridgeline might crown in a little bit and she'll go for the cradle. Looks like she's going to go for that dump. So in from the barbed wire near dump, and she does indeed get the point. She breaks the move to get more back points. The score is now 10-1, and we're 1 minute, just past 1 minute into the first round. So lots of points being put up on the board here. Change off, arm bar, takes the far wrist, slowly puts that over. That's like a Logan Stever arm bar where she does step around too as well. So we're going to step around the head slightly, drop her shoulders. She gets all the back points and once again releases to get more wrestling time. I notice the ref, he'll hold that because as long as she has that chicken wing or that bar arm in, the ref will not award the points. He says you've got to break that position and go into a different pinning combination before I give the points. He's obviously awarded those now for a 12-1 lead. Bell back in very controlled position on top. Bottom wrestler probably wondering, do I dare try to stand up with this girl? She just seems to be getting me in one move after another. Ridgeline takes her chances on top. I think that was probably a fair call, probably a good call. I don't know if I'd want to be bottom fighting against Bell.
Bell's got a quick sit out though. Watch her hook this leg underneath. Goes underneath the leg. Oh.
You're right. That didn't take long. Well, Ridgeline took a chance, but Bell pays it back for another 2-point advantage to increase her lead 14-1. 2 more points. It'll be a tech fall, but I think she's probably going to go for pinfall here. The ref still holding that 3-point predicament. She settles in chest to chest. Stretches that arm, and over she goes for the pressure to get the pin. Score would have been 17-1 had they been allowed to wrestle. She gets a pinfall for 16 points. Great job, Bell Foreman. Good. Lots of points on the board. Lots of moves, lots of combinations. That's what you like to see. Up next, Shaylee Koontz, Star Valley. Shaylee does a nice snap down to gain front head control all the way down to the knees, and she says, let's just keep on going with this as she puts one underhook in, goes back to her back, and she's looking at the ref for the fall. This might be a quick pin, and it is. Under 20-second pin from Shaylee Koontz. Getting the job done tonight. Excellent job. recognizing a few more of our sponsors. A hole 10 at the mini golf course that's coming up at Jack's Drive-In will be open this spring. Hole 10 is being sponsored by DNS Excavating. Hole 11, thanks to Three Canyons Restaurant. And hole 12, Big Sky Miniature Golf Construction, if I got that right. All of these are local sponsors. Hole 13, we've got Keith Workman from Ingle and Vocals of Star Valley. Also Abby Humes, Paige, Elise, and Melissa Ayers, also from Ingle and Vocals, Star Valley. On the mat now, you have Stella Lind representing Star Valley. Stella Lind, I believe this will be second match, and almost gets a single leg secured. Ridgeline takes advantage, just hustles behind to get a 2-point takedown, and will lead the match 2-0 in the first round. Ridgeline had a half. Stella did a great job of peeling that off, keeping her elbows in and tight. Power half coming in again by Ridgeline. Stella reaches up, which you got to be careful you don't reach too deep because it can get the half in a little deeper. Keeping her hips from turning, but her back did indeed go over. Oh, good hard fought. Stella does give that one up by pinfall. Ridgeline takes another win to narrow the gap slightly, but we're still at about a double-digit advantage, 24-51. Star Valley leads. Okay. Also at that golf course. Now, Cashley Hepworth. Now, we saw her shake hands, JR.
That's odd. She did have an opponent, and doesn't look like she does now.
Well, once again, sometimes when that fear enters the opponent, you know, wrestling's one of those sports where you learn to overcome fear. Oh, I think it's going to be an exhibition. So you don't fear your opponent. You respect them, but you never fear them. It looks like Ridgeline says, I'm not going to show the fear, I'll show up. But we did get the 6 points, so this must be an exhibition.
So it does look like it is the correct weight class even. I would assume that the other wrestler probably did not meet the weight regulation, and they've decided to wrestle the match anyways, is what I would assume.
Cassie with a quick reversal after a 2-point takedown, gains advantage on the top. Working for a half, it looks like from my angle. Of course, the camera might see better. Crossface, we're going crossface, near leg dump. Over she goes. The count's on. Cashley has her in a tough situation. She's got great pressure. If she can keep that angle created, kind of get more to 90, it'll put a little more pressure on. Although I think she says, let's wrestle a little more here. Switches sides, takes that, almost had the barbed wire secured, but immediately switches to the opposite side.
Nice
She's
hard
got
crossface there.
Absolutely.
Digging out that other arm, probably going for a barbed wire.
There, it is tight.
There we go, up on those toes. That'll do it. Good fall.
You bet. Cassie Hepworth takes a pin. She says, that's revenge for my sister. Hand in the air. Excellent job from Cashley. From getting taken down to putting her opponent on her back and securing the win all in the first round. Great job. Final score of that meet, they deleted it before I was able to catch the final. Did you catch that?
Well, it was 52-16 before that last match.
Okay.
Or 52-25, sorry.
Okay, so that would turn it into 58-25. So still a double point margin there. And Star Valley Braves, Lady Braves, picks up another dual win of the evening, 58-25.
Now, what I would assume here that we're going to see some more JV wrestlers like we did after the last duel, but we'll just have to see what they bring out on the mat.
That's right. Doesn't look like anyone's turning the lights on yet, so we'll hang on. We've probably got some more Star Valley Lady Braves wrestling. Back to these great sponsors from Star Valley, local businesses. Hole 14 being represented and sponsored by Star Valley Health. Hole 15, Fall River Propane. There's two businesses you probably can't live without Star Valley, right? Hole 16, well, maybe not this one either. Pepsi of Star Valley with Miles Beverage. They've been around a long time, and Miles Beverage supplying the Pepsi to Star Valley. They sponsor Hole 16. Okay, up now we've got Tori Fry from Star Valley. And great wrist control, heavy on the head. Tries to snap her opponent down to her knees. Opponent does good at saying, Don't want to be on my knees. Comes back up. We're going to go back down to heavy on the heads. That starts wearing on an opponent. If you do that for the first 30 seconds, it's called overwhelming them. If you can overwhelm your opponent with heavy hands, and it starts really putting the strain on your neck and your back, so at the time when you really want to do a powerful snap down, the move kind of transitions pretty smoothly because you bore them down. So Tori was doing a good job of just wearing down. You see that pressure on the neck. Moves down around the body, maybe looking for a bear hug. Breaks free, comes back to neutral towards the center. All right, we're down to 1 minute in the mat. Ridgeline takes a powerful club to the head. Actually initiates the club, rather. And spin behind Ridgeline strikes first to lead 2-0 over Star Valley. Tori, you hear the ref saying head up, or the coach is saying head up, and you see why here. The Ridgeline was able to break her down, almost got a half in. Tori did a good job of kind of building the pod up to her feet, and she gets 1 point escape. Scores now 2-1. All right, Tori Fry here showing that fashion of those long braids. The girls do have, they can have braids. But, oh, great return as she gets behind her, returns her to the mat for a 2-point takedown, and right to her back. And we're getting back points, and it's a pin right on the edge of the mat. First round with 2 seconds left. Tori Fry takes it by fall. Fantastic job. Another great Lady Brave wrestler who started behind and was able not only to come back with the takedown of her own, but also a pin.
Last match between Ridgeline and Star Valley at 135 for Star Valley, Samantha Walker.
So it looks like we've got Samantha Walker coming up here.
She must ask for that music. You think she asked for that music? Because when she's come on, boy, they start cranking.
Well, they've got to have their walk-on song.
She doesn't need it. Well, actually, where she looked a little bit either injured or kind of something going on with the belly, maybe it's good we got some tunes. I don't know if she quite had that 45-minute break, but she says, let's wrestle. We're here to compete. Good shot. Ridgeline with a great sprawl. Samantha comes back up for breath. Says, let's do that again. Ridgeline seems to be waiting for the attack. More wrestling on the defense. Sam's definitely proven she's the offensive wrestler in this match so far. Heavy on the head. Again, that's that wear and tear.
Well, and when you get a lot of that heavy on the head there, the natural reaction is to stand up. And then when you stand up, you're exposing your legs to those single and double legs. And allows them to get underneath you and around you.
Very true. So you don't want to pull back too hard. At the same time, if you give in, you can find yourself on your face real quick. Samantha goes in hard for a cowboy. Headlock, puts her to her mat, gets a takedown, and this is going to be lights out, it looks like. Looks extremely tight from this angle, and there it is. Pin, first round, 1 minute, 18 seconds. And she stands up a little slow, so something's still eating at her. Wasn't enough, though, to keep her from getting her second pin of the evening. Great job, Samantha Walker. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that concludes our dual action for the evening. Star Valley versus Ridgeline in Cache Valley. I know SBI Media and all the sponsors appreciate your excellent support and sponsorship. A few other contractors or businesses that we want to recognize. Hole 17 at Jack's Drive-In Miniature Golf Course that's being opened this spring. Hole 17 is being sponsored by JL Concrete and Construction. Jason Shockey. Hole 18 is Dustin DeMello and Shay DeMello. I appreciate their support and sponsorship. Hole 19, Outlaw Tees. And that concludes not only our duel, but all 19 rounds of miniature golf. Once again, put that on your schedule. It'll be opening this spring, and that's in part with Jack's Drive-In. The Eddie Ivy, who Jason Ivy, one of our coaches, is the son to. So We sure appreciate all the coaches, all the fans, those that made the drive over here. Beautiful day in Cache Valley. It was a beautiful drive.
It was indeed, and some great competition. We enjoy watching and having a duel against Ridgeline. Them fielding some full teams that we can come down and compete with. Great support from both communities. We love the support that Star Valley provides to the wrestling programs, both the boys and the girls. The boys will be in action this Thursday. They're going to be over at a quad or a truel over in the Twin Falls area. And there'll be a broadcast online, hopefully with that one as well. But thank you for all your support.
Great. We sure appreciate it. Big thanks to SVI Media making this possible. Over and out.